Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name's Jade and today we're going to be talking about Christia Obcordata, which is this plant here. So, as you can probably tell, I live in the UK, so everything that I'm going to talk about is relative to me, and this is literally just my thoughts on growing this plant and what I have experienced. It's so hard to find any information out there to grow this plant as a house plant or generally just as a plant in many other countries. So I thought I would just put together some of my thoughts, and I won't even call them tips because I still haven't got it right. As you can see, we've got a lot of dry leaves, literally, on this one. This one has a few, but I'm going to just do a little bit of maintenance on them. And yeah, I thought I'd talk about it as I'm doing it. So, in the UK, if you're wanting to buy this plant, you probably won't find any as a plant. Last year there was a few seedlings for sale from a really good seller on Instagram, which is where I got my two seedlings. So I bought these two last year. They were literally about a centimetre tall. And yeah, it seems like a lot of people are now finding seeds for these, which I've seen there's plenty of seed videos out there, but for actual plant care, there's not very many. So that's why I thought I'll just put my stuff into a video and let you, see what you think. So yeah, if you do buy seeds, obviously I am not giving any care tips on that because I've never grown from seed. I've only grown from seedlings, so there's plenty of other videos out there. So like I say, it's really hard to find definitive care for this plant because it seems that in other countries people grow them outside and grow them as a perennial, whereas I'm growing mine as like an evergreen house plant. Either way, it's hard to find care tips because there's a lot of conflicting advice out there on how much light it likes, how much water, how much humidity, and all them different kinds of things. So I've struggled. It seems like I'm one of the only people that's actually growing this plant and has any kind of sort of advice on it. I have reached out to a few people on Instagram to ask for their advice because I've noticed that there is a few people that have plants, and even the advice that I got from them people, it was very conflicting. Some people said that it was completely normal for them to lose the leaves, some people said that it wasn't, and yeah, so it's quite difficult. So I'm not saying that what I'm saying is how to look after them, I'm just telling you what I've done with mine and how they're growing, how well they're doing, and I may even do a follow-up video so that you can sort of see, because I am planning on changing the way that I look after them in slight ways, but I'll get onto that in a bit. When I bought these seedlings, they were, like I said before, they were only really tiny, and obviously I bought them September, October time, and we're now in March. So they have both grown quite a lot. This one, however, it grew really tall and then I chopped it right down. So I do have some propagation tips because I tried propagating the bits and pieces that I chopped off. Some successful, some not. So that's how I bought them. Now, how I've been growing them, I'm just going to start chopping off some of the dead leaves here. So how I started growing these was under a light, and I think they were in a propagator when I got them as seedlings, and they grew, like, don't get me wrong, they've been growing, it's just they seem like the biggest drama queen in the world. You think calatheas are bad, these are just something else. They're absolutely gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but they are just hard work for me. They might not be for you. So I've been growing them under grow lights. They have about 70% humidity, maybe a little bit more. And the new growth, I mean, is beautiful. They you know, you can see they've got the red markings on. There was a point where they didn't have red markings. I think that they weren't getting enough light, so I've put them under brighter light, and now they are starting to get the red markings on. Obviously they're growing at a bit of a slant, but I am probably going to chop these up, just so you know. As you can see, I'm taking loads of leaves off because they're all sort of not looking too great, and I'm sick of it looking rubbish, because whenever you go on Instagram, you know, or Facebook, you see pictures of this and they look perfect. So one of the people that I contacted on Instagram said that they literally go around and cut the leaves off every week. They cut all the dead off, and because they do grow quite quickly, they do, you know, send out new leaves from where you chopped leaves off. So I'm not worried too much about chopping too many leaves off. So yeah, so like I say, I've been growing them under grow lights. They've had good humidity. Now watering is one of the things that I can't get quite right with these. They like to be wet but not soaking, so I found myself watering them sort of every few days, just a little bit, which I can't keep doing this. I can't keep on watering them every few days, because if I do go away, or, you know, when the world opens back up again, if I decide to go away for a week, these guys are going to really struggle, and there's not going to be anyone to keep on top of them. So I actually am going to try and experiment with leca. So I'm going to put this little cut in when it's ready to go into leca. When the humidity was quite high, this one started to get a bit mouldy, and started to go downhill pretty quickly as well. Like, it was overnight, it just started looking terrible. So that's why I've ended up chopping it. So I chopped it down to here, and as you can see, it's grown quite quickly, and grown quite, you know, quite tall, from me chopping it, which, you know, isn't a bad thing, because it means I can play with it a little bit more and experiment with propagating it again. I think really the main things for this plant for me is keeping on top of the watering, not too high a humidity, just, you know, 70 is doing all right, but then I do have damage to leaves, so it might change if I change the humidity. Plenty of light. I wouldn't recommend putting it in direct sunlight, but these are under grow lights, and they seem to be okay under grow lights for now. Who knows, it could change overnight. Yeah, like I say, when I chopped this one down, I took cuttings from it and I put some in moss, I put some in soil, and I put some in water. Well, actually I only put one in water because I thought water would be the least likely to root. Turns out the moss and the soil just died within a few days. They dried up and there were just little sticks left. The one in water, on the other hand, has actually rooted, which I was very surprised. And now that it has rooted, the roots are growing quite significantly on a daily basis. So this is the one that has rooted. Don't know if you can see, but it's got a nice little root on it, and it is growing. It's got small little leaves on it. Can't really see what the root has come from, but it's doing all right. So I'm just going to let that live in there for a little bit longer, but I am going to try it in leca, because I'm hoping that means it will water itself and I won't have to worry about the watering situation, and then hopefully, maybe, fingers crossed, I find a solution to this whole problem. So yeah, going back to, so obviously that's propagating by cutting, which, you know, it does work. As much as people are buying a lot of seeds in this country because there's no plants available, I do think that there will probably be a lot of seedlings available this spring/summer, because I've seen a lot of people growing them from seed. But if you do get your hands on one of these plants, I do think that you'll be able to propagate quite easy from stem cuttings. So once again, I just cut between nodes, and water for me was the success. You know, that was the way that I've managed to get it to root. And like I said, the seeds that I've seen for sale are quite expensive as well. So if you are willing to hold out for seedlings this spring/summer, then I'm sure there'll be loads on eBay and Facebook groups and things like that. So a quick rundown on this plant. It is really nice. It is a really pretty plant. The way that, you know, it literally, as I'm holding it, I'm not shaking. It just, that's how the leaves sort of move in a little, you know, just by holding it. They just flutter like butterflies. They're so cute. It's a fast grower, so even though I haven't got my conditions quite right, because it's just frustrating the hell out of me, even though I don't know what I'm doing with it, it's still growing pretty fast. Like I say, I chopped this one down to here maybe a month or so ago, and this stem, I mean, it's getting huge. So it is really, you know, it's quite a fast grower. It looks delicate, but as you can see, I'm happy to pick up and, you know, move them about. They're really quite tough. You know, it's as delicate as this stem looks. It's literally, you know, they're absolutely fine. So that's another plus point for this plant. The bad points of this plant. It loses leaves a lot. So, like I said, I don't know if I'm growing it wrong or if it just doesn't like my conditions. People that I've spoken to, some people say it does lose leaves a lot, some people say it doesn't. I couldn't tell you what's right and what's wrong right now. But for me personally, my experience of this plant, it loses leaves quite often, even these big leaves. But wherever you do lose a leaf, it usually sends out smaller leaves from the same node. You end up with fresh new leaves all the way down the plant, even though you might have lost some leaves. So, you know, it does need a regular watering schedule. Yeah, it needs watering quite a lot. As much as I hate watering plants, well, I don't hate it, it's just I'd rather let them go quite dry between waterings. This plant likes to be watered, which I am going to work out how to tackle. I am going to be putting my cutting in leca, and I'm going to take more cuttings to see if it grows in leca. That's fine, they're all going to go in leca. So yeah, I suppose another bad point for this plant is that it does my head in. I really want it to look like all the pictures that you see on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, wherever. I wish that mine looked like that, and to me they don't. Which, you know, it is a shame because I really want that big bushy plant, which I am going to experiment with, and I'm going to try and work out how to make it look perfect. And as soon as I get to that point, I will be letting you guys know. Don't worry, I will be doing an update in a month or two on these. So yeah, so if you have this plant and you're in the UK and you're growing it as a house plant, please put in the comments what you are doing with yours, if you're doing anything different, because I just don't know what else to try. It's had a variety of different humidity and light and everything else. I mean, I am going to move one of them into natural light to see if that helps keep the leaves a little bit longer. But generally, I mean, they are growing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can see on this one, it's lost a lot of leaves down sort of at the bottom, and you can see that there is new leaves growing. It's just, I just want it to look more beautiful than it already does. That's kind of it on Christia Obcordata. It's all I can sort of say right now, because it's still quite a new plant to me. I've only had it 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, and I've had ups and downs with it. I have tried different methods, I've tried, you know, all sorts of different things, and no matter what I do, it still grows and it still lives, and I've managed to get the red veining on it to really stand out, but it's still dropping leaves, which I know it might just do that, but there must be a way of making it even better. You'd have thought anyway. So any comments or anything like that about this plant or any other plants that I've sort of covered, or any plants that you would like me to have a go at giving you a bit of a care tips video on, then just give me, you know, a comment below, and please give this video a thumbs up if it's given you any advice, or if it's made you decide that you want to have a go at this plant, or if it's made you think, God no, I can't be bothered trying to make that plant survive. So yeah, I hope this video has given you some insight into this plant, because for me it's been interesting. It's been very, you know, it has been eye-opening trying to get this plant to flourish, because there's no information out there on how to get this plant to do the best it can. And you know, if somebody takes something away from this video so that you've got an idea of, you know, it's going red under grow lights, so it could go under my grow lights and I'm not going to scorch it to death. And yeah, I just hope this can help in some way for anyone out there. For me, if I'd have known how awkward this plant was, yeah, I'd have still got it. Because it's been fun trying to work out like how to propagate it, how to get it to do what I want it to do. I'm going to take some cuttings after this video, so keep an eye out on my Instagram, because I'll be putting some updates on there if I can get them to root, and hopefully, you know, I'll have some more tips on this plant in the future. But I hope this has helped for now, because there is literally nothing out there, so even just having something, or just seeing somebody actually growing it as a houseplant in this country, might just give you the encouragement to go out and get some seeds, or to buy a seedling on eBay or wherever. And yeah, I do really love them, don't get me wrong, they're just so frustrating. I just really wish that I could give them the best. So I'm going to get chopping up, and yeah, I hope this is helpful in some way. Once again, give my video a like and subscribe if you want to, or do all the stuff that you need to do on YouTube so that you can see my videos in the future. Like I say, I'm no expert on this plant or any other plants. I'm a very, you know, enthusiastic grower. I've been doing this for many years. So yeah. Alright, thank you guys, and see you later.